I finished all my allowance in 1 week. You know, buying what? I was buying chocolates. I was buying sweets. This sheikh is reading dua. People around him are crying, and I am here struggling, not able to understand what he's trying to say.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.
And now,
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to all our viewers and listeners who have tuned into our episode today. Well, as you can see, today is just the two of us. Brother Dan is not here with us, unfortunately. He's down with some personal commitments, but we hope to have him back very soon, inshallah. And all right, so without further ado, let's invite our guest today. And today, we have in the house Ustaz Syukri.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Ustaz. All right, thank you for being on our show today, Ustaz. So as you guys know, this is Ustaz Syukri, also known as Ustaz Ben. That's what we call him in this mosque. Ustaz Ben is currently studying in University of Malaya, and he's currently taking his course in Arabic language, and he is also the president of two clubs in his school. One is the Faculty of Arabic Languages and Linguistics, as well as he is the president of the Association of the Singapore Students. MashaAllah, Ustaz. Okay, so a little background about Ustaz Syukri. He is currently nearing the end of his studies. Am I right, Ustaz?
Inshallah.
All right.
Please make dua for me, guys. Please.
Inshallah, we will. And we are very lucky to have him with us today. And we hope that he will be able to share his knowledge to the best of his ability. All right. So in today's episode, we will be discussing a little about Ustaz Syukri's life. So yeah, it's for the viewers out there to have an idea of how Ustaz Syukri transitioned from his childhood and to where he is right now.
I think our listeners or viewers are actually more curious about why are you calling me Ben?
Yep. Okay. Before I forget, yeah, you know. So I must ask you. So, actually, why Ben? Maybe you want to share with the viewers.
Okay. Basically, these days we are using a lot of delivery apps. Grab, Food Panda. When you order food. And maybe Shopee and others when you order stuff. And then my initial plan was I did not want to use my real name. Okay, so I just came up with any name and that came out of the top of my mind. And the first name that actually came to mind was Ben. So I was like, okay, why not? Let's just use Ben. But then I realized what I actually enjoyed by using the name Ben after the first time I did it was looking at the reactions of people's faces when they were looking for Ben. They were like, Ben, 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 and they get this.
Okay, so that is actually, I mean, it's a funny story. Like you were out there trying to do. I mean, like you were just going there for delivery and end up,
I mean, the initial plan was not to reuse my real name. That's it. I just did not want my real name to be out there. I mean, for us Malays, Syukri can be an easy name to say, but for the non-Malays, they have difficulty pronouncing that SYU.
I understand.
They were like Syukri,
Yeah.
sometimes they omit the Y, Syukri. So to avoid any mistakes or just I am just tired of listening to people getting my name wrong. So I just put a universal name that I have yet to see anyone get Ben wrong. So I'm like, okay, let's go with Ben.
I mean, that's a good name. I mean, I can relate with you because my name is also
True. Yeah.
Awabin it's kind of hard to pronounce. So yeah. Okay, so let's dive straight into the topic. Okay, so let's start off by asking you, why did you actually choose Arabic language?
Okay, so this may sound like a cliche answer, but it is true. One of the reasons why I actually pick Arabic language is to actually get closer to our Creator.
MashaAllah.
That is true, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because as everyone know, the Quran has been sent down to us in Arabic language. Hence, it makes up one of the main reasons why I chose Arabic language. And it also, in a way, it helps us to improve the quality of our salah. There are a lot of ways to improve our salah, but I feel that when you pursue the language, you tend to you start to understand the words, the du'as or the zikr that you say during your prayers. It helps to actually put meaning into it. It helps to improve the quality of our salah.
Yep.
If I could come up with an example, I can come up with an example. The surah, the very famous surah that I think majority of earth knows, inshallah, the surah that we read at least 17 times a day, Surah Al-Fatiha. Okay, this was when I did my Arabic language studies back in Yarmouk University, Jordan, in 2015. I was taking this subject called Ulum Quran. So basically, this subject is where you study the relationship between the Arabic language itself and the usage, the beauty of the language itself in the Quran. So one day, my lecturer came into class. The first question he asked, after he entered, he asked, how many sentences are there in Surah Al-Fatiha? Everyone gave the same answer. 7, doctor, 7. We were in Jordan, right? So Arabic. Sab'a, doctor, sab'a. Everyone knows there's 7 verses in Al-Fatiha.
True.
Then my doctor was trying to get the answer. He was like, 7, la. 8, la. 5, la. Everyone was getting wrong. No one was getting a right answer. So it went on for like about 10 minutes. Then the doctor...
Wait, what did you think it was?
Me? I downright had no idea. Like when he said how many sentences there were in Al-Fatiha, I was like, Bismillah, or is it Bismillahirrahmanirrahim? And then I tried to count. I actually tried to break down the whole surah to get how many sentences. I actually get, I think, double the digit. I was really bad at the language at that point of time. Okay. So when after around 10 minutes, my doctor actually smiled throughout the whole 10 minutes. He was like, all of you did not understand my question correctly. I was asking how many sentences are there in Al-Fatiha, not how many verses. That's when everyone was like, what are you trying to say? Verses and sentences, what's the difference?
Yeah, we would think that it's the same.
That's the thing. That's when he said, in Arabic language, there are 2 types of sentences. There's Jumla Ismiya and Jumla Fi'liya. Okay, this will contain a few terminologies. Okay. But Jumla Fi'liya is basically sentences that starts with verbs, and Jumla Ismiya is sentences that starts with nouns. Okay. So he was trying to make us look at Surah Al-Fatiha in an Arabic language perspective, not from the Quran written in Rasam Uthmani that we see every day, but the language itself. How is the language used in the surah itself? So he started to say, he revealed the answer first. He said, there are only 3 sentences in Surah Al-Fatiha.
Seriously?
3.
Just 3?
3. And he said, if you include Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, then it's 4. If you omit Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, it's only 3.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes.
Even I didn't know that.
I really, when I heard, when he said there's only 3 sentences, I'm like, Doctor, what Quran are you reading? Are you sure it's only 3? I've been reading Fatiha since little. It's 7 verses. Where do you get the 3? Then he started to explain. The first sentence in Surah Al-Fatiha, if you count Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Bismillah is actually the first sentence.
Okay.
Bismillah, in the name of Allah. That is one complete sentence. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim is an adjective, or you can say another name
It's
for Allah.
describing Allah.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. And then when it comes to the surah itself, Alhamdulillah, all praise to Allah, or praises to Allah. That itself is one sentence.
Okay. So that's
And
the
then
first.
the sentence stretches all the way for 3 verses. So it's Alhamdulillah, and then Rabbil Alameen, God of the worlds. Rabbil Alameen. That describes Allah. Alhamdulillah, Allah is there. Rabbil Alameen describes Allah.
Right.
Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim describes Allah. Again, Maliki Yawmiddin, owner of the day of judgment. Again, owner of the day of judgment. It describes what Allah is. So, that is only one sentence. That's what he said. We were like, why is one sentence so long? How can one sentence be so long and yet it's only one sentence, but it's 3 verses? Why? Then he continued. He said, the next sentence is Iyyaka na'budu. Iyyaka na'budu is the second sentence. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Wa iyyaka nasta'in, the sentence Iyyaka nasta'in in Arabic, it's jumla ma'tufa, means it's a connecting sentence to the sentence before. Hence, it's not the main sentence. So in Arabic morphology, the main sentence is the first one. So Iyyaka na'bud. So that's the second sentence. It was like, okay, so what's the third one? The third one he said was Ihdina. It's one word.
Just that.
Just that one word. Ihdina.
Okay.
That is the third sentence. We were like, why? How can one word make a sentence? You imagine me telling you in English, okay, I have an English sentence for you. Apple. Do you think that's a sentence?
Yeah, I mean,
It does not
it
bring
does not
any
make any sense, right?
Any sense. It's just an apple. It's a noun. It's not a sentence. But when he told us the third sentence, Ihdina, I was like, are you sure? There's only one word. That is one of the beauty of Arabic. Ihdina, that word itself contains the verb, the subject, or the doer, and the receiver. So Ihdina means guide us. Guide. Who is guiding? He, Allah, us. 3 parties involved. So there's the rule for English language. Subject, verb, object, SVO, the formula for a complete sentence, right? The formula is completed with just one word.
One word. Okay.
Ihdina. As-sirata al-mustaqima. As-sirata al-mustaqim is basically the maf'ul, the description of what you want Allah to guide us to. Guide us to the right way, the right path. So, siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladhina anamta alayhim antil waladdalin amin. That whole sentence is describing what siratal mustaqim is.
Okay.
So basically, ihdina siratal mustaqim. Guide us to the right way. What is the right way? Siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim ghairil maghdubi alayhim. So that whole sentence is actually describing what siratal mustaqim is, and siratal mustaqim is describing what ihdina is.
I see.
Hence, that is what I think one of the beauty that we can find in the Quran just by using the Arabic language itself. Yeah.
MashaAllah. I mean that's a very interesting piece of fact that you have shared. I believe I myself didn't know, and I believe that our viewers and listeners, probably the majority of them would be hearing this for the first time.
True.
Right?
I mean, it's not something that layman people would just hear, in the site, when you sit down with your friends and talk about, hey, do you guys know Al-Fatiha? It's only 3 sentences.
Right.
It's not something, it's something that you can only learn when you start to fall in love with something, or you start to have passion for something and you want to pursue that passion.
Mhm.
That's when you start to scrape and find everything that you can learn regarding to what you have passion for, and that's when you come across all this
Right, yep.
information. Yeah.
Mashallah, mashallah, well said. Okay, so just briefly tell us, like, when did you actually start, with Arabic language?
Okay. Let's all transport back to the year 2010, 11 years ago. 11 years ago, 2010, when I was in secondary. Oops, I cannot say. That will reveal my age. I'm 18, guys. I'm 18. Okay, so when I was still in school, 2010, my school actually organized a trip to Damascus, Syria. So the trip was to a university called Mujamma Abu Nur.
Okay.
I think our very own Ustaz Fahim attended that school. So the trip was for, if I'm not mistaken, it was for 2 weeks, around there.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So when I first heard of the event, it was my Arabic language teacher back in school. She was the one who proposed the idea to me. She was like, we are organizing a trip to Damascus, Syria at the end of the year. She was like asking me to go. She's like, are you interested? Do you want to go? Because we plan to do fundraising together and then maybe subsidize, the first few students who sign up. And I was like, well, I can't remember if I've ever flown on a plane before, so why not? Okay, it could be the first time I ever actually got on a plane. I really cannot remember whether I've boarded a plane when I was little. But at that point of time, I was like that confident, like I've never been on a plane before and I need to do this. It's now or never.
So basically you did it just because you wanted to get on the plane.
Yeah. At that point of time, the passion for Arabic language was yet to burn. It was like just another subject that you need to study. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna do this for the traveling part. So I'm like, okay, it's holidays, school holidays. So where better than to spend your holidays than overseas, right? So I'm like, okay, let's do this. So we struggled together. We did fundraising. We did a lot of events together, a huge amount of funding so that we can subsidize. And I managed to get the trip for only, I think, $1,500. And the subsidy was for the first, I think, 20 or 30 students. So imagine the fundraising we did. Like I sold ice cream. I legit sold ice cream. Like ice cream, and then students come and I scooped the ice cream for them. I gave. We sold ice cream. We sold anything that we can do to fundraise. We did. Okay, so then the day comes when we start preparing for the flight. So I packed all my stuff. I brought my PSP. PSP was at that time. It was the thing. PSP. I brought my Game Boy Advance SP. I was thinking like, okay, this is
you were ready to go on a holiday.
Yeah,
trip.
I was legit ready to go on holiday. Like, I need games because I know we might not find games in the Middle Eastern country. I don't know how Syria is. I don't know what Syria is. I don't know how Syria looks like. I don't know it even existed before this. This is my first time hearing the country. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to get myself bored there. So if I have nothing to do, at least I have my PSP, I have my Game Boy Advance SP. Because my parents gave me allowance, right, for me to like spend freely there. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can still make it through this holiday. So I'm like, okay, let's use my allowance. Let's set a budget. How much of the allowance I can use daily so I can last for the 2 weeks. Before I know it, 1 week was over and I have no money left. Because really, I finished all my allowance in 1 week. Buying what? I was buying chocolates. I was buying sweets. These are universal food that, you can acclimatized to.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm like, I really cannot eat their food. So I was like, fine. That is on the food. But when does my passion come into? Is when actually the whole journey is actually a learning journey. You see, I left out this point because I want to show you that this journey was actually a learning journey from the start.
Right.
But I never saw this as a learning journey. I only saw this as
a
holiday, as a getaway. And we when we continue to attend classes every day, the lecturers share with us these valuable basics. For me, when you study a language, to actually hold that language down, even though your proficiency is not professional, to actually hold it down and have at least elementary proficiency level, is to actually hold on the basics. So throughout these 2 weeks, what our lecturers did was just to drill us the basics.
Right.
Okay, what is a verb? What is a noun? What is a letter? The rough translation is letter, but in Arabic we have harf, huruf. Okay, so when they drill us and they teach us all these basics, that's when I slowly find out that the language is so broad that this is like not even 1% of what beauty this language holds. So when and to like top it off, we were in class one day. We were it was a Quran class. So we were studying about Surah Mulk. Tabarakalladhi biyadihil mulk wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. We were reading. Lecturers were testing our memorization and pronunciation and stuff. Suddenly, the lecturer in front shouted. He was like, Alhamdulillah. He was like so happy. I did not know why. Here's the thing. Syria, when I went to in 2010, that point of time, when I reached, I found out actually they were in a drought.
Okay.
They have yet to rain for at least, I heard it was 4 months?
Wow.
4 or 5 months. It was like a really bad drought. So when we came, one of the major events that happened was we were introduced to a salat called Salatul Istisqa.
Okay.
Salatul Istisqa is basically a salat you perform when you have drought and you are asking for rain. Istisqa comes from the word saqa. Saqa means to give water. Yeah. So istisqa is to ask for water. So Salatul Istisqa, I shall skip the details. You can ask someone who specializes in that major. Yeah. So we did the Salatul Istisqa, and then I remembered Sheikh Rajab.
Okay.
One of the sheikhs from Damascus, Syria. Sheikh Rajab. The main prayer hall was this big. First floor. We were the Singaporeans were all on the second floor in a special room that is equipped with speakers, because we have translators helping to translate whatever the khutbah was about. It was Friday prayers before that, so they did the Salatul Istisqa after Friday prayers. So from the top we can see the whole prayer hall. Sheikh Rajab was sitting in the middle, exactly the center of the prayer hall, on a chair in the middle of the whole Jama'ah. After Salatul Istisqa ended, the Imam turned and passed over to Sheikh Rajab, asking Sheikh Rajab to make the dua. So Sheikh Rajab was doing the dua, he was crying, he was reading the dua, and then the translator wasn't he's basically wasn't doing his job. We did not hear any translations for the dua. So I sat there and I felt like this sheikh is reading dua. People around him are crying, and I am here struggling, not able to understand what he's trying to say. To top the story off, basically, Sheikh Rajab is
a God sent Sheikh, mashallah. His prayers and all of Syria who prayed along with him, prayers got answered. Basically, it rained for the next 3 days, and on the 4th day, it snowed. And for the first time in my life, I'm like, I saw snow. It was damn fun.
And you've been waiting for it all throughout the trip.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. And I had an enjoyable time despite not having any money left. And despite also having my PSPs and Game Boy Advance SPs taken away by my friends instead. I mean, I brought them to play, but my friends end up playing them instead. So I'm like, but it's okay. At least I got to learn something new. I got to talk to locals, I got to improve my Arabic language. And I think the learning journey itself for me was a very full experience. Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of safe to say that, like you went there thinking that it was a holiday trip and then come out with like knowing so much more. It's like, it was an eye-opener.
Yeah, it's like the attitude to go was like, YOLO, you only live once, let's go holiday, then come back school. Then suddenly I come back, it's like, that was the best learning journey I've ever had. I won't say it was the best holiday because it doesn't feel like a holiday. You actually go there to study and then you end up penniless, But still, it was a very, very memorable experience.
True. And something that you will keep with you for the rest of your life.
For the rest of my life.
And I mean, like, just now you mentioned about Sheikh Rajab, right? So technically he was your so-called the leader figure that you looked up to, no?
True. I mean, you can see that, He actually leaded the whole mosque. And the mosque is not like local Singapore mosque size. The mosque was very big.
Definitely. I mean, Middle Eastern countries.
Yeah, so. True. They got the land.
So basically, he was the figure that you look up to, right? And I mean, like, we are going to talk a little bit about leadership here, because you yourself right now, you are currently, like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, that Ustaz Ben here, who is Ustaz Ben here, who is currently the president of the Society for the Students.
It's UMSC, University of Malaya Singapore Students Council.
Okay. So I mean, you're currently the president of that, as well as also you are representing your faculty in the faculty of Arabic languages and linguistics.
So that was my previous position. Yeah.
So technically, you are right now in a leadership position. So just share with us like what some of your experiences and what do you do and how has it shaped you to who you are today?
Okay, so previously I was elected president for the Arabic Language and Linguistics Department in Faculty of Languages and Linguistics, University of Malaya. I was given that opportunity, and I at first I did not expect that because I was told they have never picked a foreign student or an overseas student for the post. It's usually a local who's going to hold the post. So when they actually voted for me, I was shocked. And then it came to me that it is actually a good opportunity for me to actually improve myself. I see it as a chance for me to try new things. You cannot always be someone who follows others.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if you look from the perspective of Salah, you cannot always be the makmum. You have to be the imam sometimes. You have to be imam for your friends, for your family, for your wife, for your kids, So I saw that as an opportunity to actually prepare myself for, future leadership roles, should I have given one. So actually I learned a lot
when I was given that position. So back in my school, they call these leaders student leaders.
Student leaders, yeah.
Some schools use prefects, schools use counselors, right?
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So when I was initially, I was picked a student leader. Then came a black hole in my history. I wasn't exactly a very exemplary student.
Mhm.
So to wrap it up, I actually got kicked from the position of being a student leader. So they reappointed me again for the same position as student leader. So I'm like, okay, I've been once, I was removed, but they reappointed me. What does this show? This actually means that they see potential. You know, when you look at someone, I think this guy actually has what it takes for that role. Yeah.
Mhm.
Is that just he actually did some mistakes, so we had to remove him temporarily.
Mhm.
But we see now that he is doing better to prove himself. So why not we give him another chance to become student leader? And actually, when you are in your final year, usually you will be the one heading the executive committees.
Okay.
So the members in the executive committee usually will make up of the students from the final year and the year below.
Mhm.
So all my friends were picked, but I wasn't picked. Then came a new position called level representative or something. Then they gave me that role. So then that's where one of my teachers who I regard close to, she came to me. She told me when the teachers were having a meeting to decide who should lead the whole the student leaders, who should be the head of student leaders. She actually brought up my name.
Mashallah, the
She actually
chosen one.
brought up my name. Yeah, I was really shocked. I'm like, why? Why did you bring up my name? I need to know the reason. I was super curious because I know I was removed once, so I have no more expectations. I'm like, you already reappointed me. I am very thankful.
Mhm.
This is already a big second chance that you have given me. But now you say you bring up my name during a meeting to decide who should be the head. Then she was like, because I really see that potential in you to become the head. So I was like, what happened then? Told me the other teachers in the committee that were close to me, that knows who I am, that has taught me from little, they actually agreed.
Mhm.
They actually agreed to this, but because some of the teachers raised a few red flags, so they chose not to proceed lah. I'm like, I almost cried in front of that teacher. I'm like, I really do not know what to say, but I am really thankful because I got your trust. You really believe in me. You see that potential. You see my potential when I myself cannot see that. So then I from then on I just any leadership role given to me, even if I do not wish for it or if I do not want for it, if I am given that role, I promise myself I have to do my best.
To the best of your ability.
To the best of my ability. If it takes sacrificing my time, sacrificing my energy, sacrificing whatever money I have, all I try to put in 110% of effort. So and then also when I entered my second year in UM, I was given the role of program coordinator for the Singapore Students Association, the Singapore Student Council. I was first elected. So this is a funny story. They actually elected me as one of the candidates for presidency.
Okay.
Last year. So not the current tenure, the previous tenure. So they elected three three candidates.
We can-
One of them was me lah. Then, but at that point of time, they know I'm already holding another president position. So initially they tried to ask. They were like, can you hold two president
The pressure.
positions? I'm like, I really do not want to do that, because when you hold two leadership positions, you have to actually divide your effort, time, passion, and attention to two different organizations, which is for me is really hard. I mean, it can come to the point where this association's maybe event can clash with the other. Then you have to pick,
Yeah.
because you are the president for both. You cannot be attending both.
I feel you, like, like.
But you cannot attend one only. Then the
Mhm.
other one will look at see if like, oh, the president doesn't look at this association. Yeah. So I actually told them like I will still attend for the election, but I really cannot accept this offer. Then came the next election, which was last year, and out of the blue, I cannot remember who approached me. Was it the previous? I think one of the previous executive members. One of them approached me. And, they were like, "Hi, we would like to elect you as as one of the candidates for presidency." I'm like, again. How many times are you gonna elect me? I'm like, I already failed the first time. How many times do you want me to fail, right? So I'm like, okay, fine. I have nothing to lose. Okay, so
Let's go again, Jay.
Yeah, I'm like, I already lost once. If I lost twice, then I mean, okay, then the presidency is not for me. So I went up against another suitable candidate for the presidency. Then, Alhamdulillah, they decided to trust me. They decided to put their trust in me. They decided to follow me. So they have given me this opportunity to lead the current University of Malaya Singapore Student Council. So, but all that experience that I went through as the program coordinator for the tenure before, I tried to bring myself back to that time every time I have to make a decision.
Right. Okay.
Every time I have instructions or things that need to be done, I bring myself back down to the program coordinator.
To where you start from,
to
to
where
feel
I
how
was.
your
Yes,
members,
correct. So I want to be on the receiving end. What happens if I instruct them this way? What's a better way to give them? It's not 100% foolproof success plan. I mean, your leadership will never be smooth. No, not one leader will get 100% likes. There are always people who are not happy with the way you do things.
Sometimes as a leader, you have to make decisions, which is best for your organizations. And
True.
I am sure that you did. I mean, mashallah, I think like whatever you have shared with us today is like so enriching. Like I get to learn. Plus, I mean, like hearing your stories is like, I'm sure you have many more. On that note, would you want to like share with our youths maybe just a short advice for them that you can give it to them for those who aspire to be a leader in the future, and for those who they are scared to take up that position. So maybe something short for them.
To my fellow youngsters, I mean, I'm also young. So to my fellow youngsters out there who happen to be watching this podcast, what are you doing here? You should be studying. Okay. But on a serious note, I have been holding on to this Arabic saying for a long time that it is actually one of the sayings that we hear every single time. But for me, when the saying is being repeated too much, people start to see that the true meaning of the saying itself. People start to see it in a different light. It's like, it's just a normal saying. When actually the saying
brings a very, very deep message. So what the Arabic saying is actually lisanul hal afsah wa qila asdaq wa qila aydan ablagh min lisanil maqal. So the rough translation in English is what we actually hear all the time, which is actions speak louder than words.
Right.
This is actually an advice that we hear all the time, but I think many of us fail to see that this is actually a very, very important principle that we should actually hold to in our daily lives. So yeah, actions do speak louder than words. So if you happen to be if you are elected for a leadership position, or if you happen to be currently is serving as a leader somewhere, for an association, for your organization, whatever it is, please do keep in mind that a leader leads. They don't boss. There's that meme where they differentiate between boss and leader, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like the boss just commands you, but the leader
He guides his team.
He guides you. He does it with you. I mean, if I were to say one of the role models I have currently is our beloved Mosque Chairman.
Yes.
For me, he is really down to earth. But when it comes to leadership, I can see what the qualities that he portray as a leader makes me really, really respect him a lot, really.
Right.
Because I mean, it's not every day that you see a chairman who actually comes down and do the groundwork with you. Yeah, I'm not saying that the other chairmen are bad. I'm just saying that this is what I think of our own beloved chairman. Cikgu, shout out to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I have to agree with you. Like, whatever he has done for the mosque, and the way he takes care of his people.
True.
I have to vouch for it. It's second to none.
True.
So really, someone even I look up to.
Correct.
Okay, so just a short takeaway from today's episode, right? Which is that like how the Arabic language, you started off as just a normal student like most of us, and then you pursued your in the field of Arabic language, and you didn't know that how beautiful the language is, and somehow this language has shaped you to become who you are today, going for all the camps and everything. So really, like and to understand the words, like you mentioned, right, like the Arabic words in the Quran and everything, I'm sure it has played a vital role in making you who you are today. Like really those teachings that have been told to us, how we should treat our friends, people around us, I'm sure like really it has benefited you in that sense. Yeah, so I mean, like, anyways, I feel like we have covered a lot of things in this episode, and really I enjoyed speaking with you. Like, like I get to learn a lot of things, and your stories, like, really, like, it was so interesting.
I should be a storyteller.
I could hear them all day long. But anyways, thank you, Ustaz, for being on our show today.
Thank you for having me.
And I mean, like, we wish we could go on. Like, honestly, we can, but I mean, like, time has its restraints, so we will be ending the podcast here for today. But thank you for sharing all your knowledge, and I hope that it benefits our audience, the youth of today. Like, maybe some things you have said, it might inspire them, and like, we never know, like, some of them might just grow up to become great leaders.
I wish the best for everyone. Yes, please.
The thing is, like, they might just give the credit to say, oh, that time, Ustaz Ben said something,
Yeah, please. Shout out to me, guys.
Yeah, so
please.
if you guys are watching this podcast and, you feel like something have benefited you, please make dua for our Ustaz here. And anyways, thank you once again for being on our show today,
Yeah,
Ustaz.
sure, no problem.
And to all our viewers and listeners, thank you for tuning in today once again. And we will be back with another episode very shortly. Do remember to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and of course, get involved in the comments if you want to know more about Ustaz Syukri. I mean, like, we might get him back again. So yeah, inshallah, we will look forward to having you in the next episode. Till then, I'm your host, Albin Haider, and on behalf of Ustaz Syukri, we are signing off. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.